Hey yo, how's it going everybody? Have for y'all today the first round playoffs for the Arcanine9 League. And before you guys ask the question, yes, there was supposed to be a week 5. Unfortunately though, me and my opponent could not get the match done in the time that was given to us, and it's just because he was busy and then I was busy, and it was just hard to line things up. And eventually I contacted him before the extension finished, so I got the forfeit win, and here we are with the first round of playoffs. I will leave a link to a playlist of every single match that we've had so far for this season. That will be down in the description, of course, as well as a link to Arcanine9, the host of this tournament. Now, for our first round playoff here, we are facing probably the worst matchup out of anybody that I could have faced in playoffs. Like instantly. Like, I was really hoping that against Bronson here, which, fun fact, Bronson is actually decently well known in the draft community apparently. I just thought he was another random, honestly. I had no idea. But yeah, pretty nice, cool dude. But versus him, I have the worst matchup. Like, literally, I would have much rather had any other person to face in playoffs, and it was randomized also. Of course, bad luck Leo strikes again, and I get probably my toughest opponent in round 1 here. But to be fair, I don't really know any of like the other people, so just like team matchup wise is what I'm talking about. So yeah, very annoying. But if you guys do enjoy this match, hit that thumbs up button down below. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys like the little face cam here for future battles. Little spoilers, this match will be done on Showdown because Bronson, I think, lost his DS or broke or something like 2 weeks before we had this match. So yeah, I figured, hey, maybe I'll try face cam for this playoff round. And yeah, so you guys have liked the face cam in the past. I'm sure you guys will like it now. So yeah, also shouts out Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I just realized I was wearing this shirt. But yeah, awesome shirt. I'm getting... What am I talking about? Oh, this match, yeah. So, taking a look here at the team preview. Now, typically, I do kind of like to go a little bit more in depth when it comes to playoffs because they're playoffs. Like, regular season games don't typically matter too much, so I don't try to go that in depth in the team preview. But in playoffs is where it really counts, man. You lose, you're out. So this is where it's for all the marbles, man. So I might be going a little bit more in depth than I typically do, but down below me will be a little timestamp for you guys to kind of go skip straight to the battle. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say here. So looking at the matchup, first off, the Z-Mons that Bronson does have are Magearna, Landorus, and Infernape, all 3 of which I am 100% sure are going to come to this match, and all 3 of which are absolutely terrifying. The least scary of the 3 being Landorus, because personally I feel like it's the worst of his Z-Mons to bring to this game. I'm mainly scared of SD Fightinium Z Infernape because that thing pretty much just bodies my entire team. Also, yeah, for those of you who are wondering, I did pick up some new mons before we started playoffs here. Dropped Mesprit for Yuxi, or traded, I guess. Traded Mesprit for Yuxi, traded Skuntank for Sneasel, I think, and then I got Nidoqueen for Donphan, which is really great because now our squad is even more powerful here going into playoffs. So shouts out to my boy Kyle Rare for that as well, because he was able to help me out, which we may face Kyle Rare in our round 2 match if he wins his first round match. So yeah, that'll be a pretty fun match. He was our week 4 opponent and we did meme around, so hey, maybe we'll get to play in playoffs here. But as I was saying, SD Fightinium Z Infernape kind of just wrecks my entire team, so that's what I really expect them to want to bring, and that's what I'm mainly worried about. And then Z Magearna could be a possibility because he does have Lickilicky. If he brings Lickilicky, I think automatically it's going to be an offensive Magearna, because otherwise there's no reason to really bring Lickilicky. And if he brings Magearna without Lickilicky, it most likely will be a defensive Magearna, because otherwise he has no answer for my Protean Greninja, which can actually put in a lot of work in this match. And then Heliolisk seems a little bit likely if he wants to be able to Volt Switch for free against my team once I lose Nidoqueen. His Mega Blastoise, I think, absolutely has to come, because our own Infernape is a giant threat to his team as well. And our Infernape, even though it's not a Z Infernape, it still can put in a lot of work, which is why we're actually choice banded. I'll go over that afterwards though. And then for like the 6th Mon, I'm not really too sure what he's going to want to bring. Although the Mons, I think like 90% positively will not come, will be Decidueye and Piloswine, just because so much of our team deals with those 2 Mons, so I think he might bring one of his other 9 Mons. I don't think he'll bring Hydreigon with Jirachi and Comfey. Something like a Choice Hydreigon is just really bad in this match, so I don't think he's going to want to bring Hydreigon in general, and he's not Z Hydreigon, so he can't Z Gunk Shot me, and if he's not Z and if he's Life Orb, that's even easier for us to deal with essentially. So yeah, I really don't expect Hydreigon. Nidoqueen, Cresselia do have a possibility of coming. I definitely think Nidoqueen will come because he might be fearing my Heliolisk, which does make sense, I think, because if he doesn't have Nidoqueen, then Heliolisk actually puts in a lot of work against him as well. So that was basically my ideas for when it came to building for this. Shouts out to the front office homies that were able to help me a bit for this matchup here. So as you can see here, we have Choice Banded Infernape because again, our Infernape puts in a lot of work against his team, and even though Choice Banded close combat is not always a 2-hit KO on something like fully Fizz Death Mega Blastoise, if I can get up rocks or if I can just chip down Mega Blastoise low enough, then close combat will eventually be able to blow him back. And then he does not necessarily have any really good fire resists. I don't count Hydreigon as a fire resist just because we're an Infernape. We can close combat and U-turn against Hydreigon, so I don't think he would ever bring a defensive Hydreigon for my Infernape, honestly, so not really concerned about Hydreigon in that factor. And then once Blastoise is gone, I just kind of click Flare Blitz for free. I thought about maybe putting Fire Punch over something on the team here, but I want U-turn for momentum. Close combat is just really good, and then Mach Punch is going to be amazing for something like Shift Gear, Magear in the late game if it's low enough, Heliolisk, Blastoise, Hydreigon, his own Infernape as well. So I really felt like I couldn't pass up on Mach Punch in this game, even though Fire Punch might have been a little nice to be able to have some type of some type of Fire Stab that doesn't do recoil to me. But then again, Fire Punch is kind of weak even with Iron Fist, so it's not that big of an issue, I think. So next off, we have a Protean Greninja here, which is running enough speed to outspeed the entirety of his team. If he doesn't have a Scarfer, obviously, and then the rest is just put into our offensive stats. 100 attack EVs just help Low Kick and Z Low Kick do that much more damage, just a little bit more damage to Magearna and Lickilicky respectively. Actually, originally I wanted to go with Groundium Z Dig, but I then realized, well, if he brings Lickilicky and he brings Magearna, then Magearna will be offensive, Lickilicky will definitely be defensive to deal with my Greninja, so Low Kick is probably going to be a little bit better in the long run. Plus Low Kick and Z Low Kick still does a decent chunk of damage to Magearna. I think Low Kick does like 20% if he's max HP, and then Z Low Kick does about 40ish%, so that's not entirely too bad. And then Low Kick to something like purely Spadef bulky Lickilicky does over 50%, so then Z Low Kick is able to knock him out, which is really nice. And then we have our dual stab with Dark Pulse and Scald. Scald is actually really free against his team because I don't think he's going to want to switch in a Heliolisk onto our Greninja, and then we also have Low Kick for Heliolisk potentially, so that's going to be really nice. Really felt like we didn't need Ice Beam just because Low Kick still hits Hydreigon, which is nice. And then Water Shuriken as another form of priority for everything except the Heliolisk, obviously, just in case we need to have that extra bit of priority on the squad. And speaking of priority, we have physically defensive Aqua Jet Mega Blastoise. Now, of course, this is our Infernape answer. I really feel like if he brings Infernape, it's going to be physical just because he's not going to want to risk missing something like Fire Blast or Focus Blast, and then Flamethrower. If Infernape is Flamethrower, that's actually a whole lot easier for me to deal with. I would love to see a special Infernape as opposed to like a SD Z physically offensive variant of Infernape, because it's either not hitting that hard or there's a chance that he will miss any type of move he goes against me. But yeah, again, physical is what I expect, so that's why we're physically defensive. Aqua Jet does a pretty good chunk of damage to the Infernape just because Infernape doesn't necessarily have the best defenses around. So after a defense drop, I was going to say Spadef drop, I don't know why. Aqua Jet is a clean 2-hit KO, which, I mean, I don't think he may leave in Infernape, but if it comes down to it, if I know he doesn't have Mach Punch and I can still get off damage with Aqua Jet to guarantee put him in range of where either a Banded Mach Punch from my Infernape or Water Shuriken from my Greninja should be able to knock him out. So that's kind of the idea behind Aqua Jet here, and it's just mainly here to help Greninja or Infernape revenge kill his Infernape essentially. And then we have Scald and Ice Beam as our as our offensive moves. Now, even though, yes, he does have Mega Blastoise, the more damage I get off of Mega Blastoise, the better. And much like Greninja, Scald is really free against his entire team if he doesn't want to bring Decidueye, which we do have Ice Beam for that to potentially catch on the switching. And then if we burn Mega Blastoise, that's really good because, again, that's going to be his only answer to Infernape gone. And then I can just kind of start clicking Flare Blitzes and close combat's even easier at that point. And then Roar is just there in case something tries to set up on Mega Blastoise here. So yeah, it didn't feel like we needed the extra speed. Again, Blastoise is pretty much just here for Infernape. If for some reason he doesn't bring Infernape or we are able to get rid of Infernape, then Blastoise is just basically dead weight at that point. Even though I love Mega Blastoise, love Tortuga, it's only really here for Infernape. And if it's gone or not there, then I'm just probably going to stack this if it comes down to it. So next off, we have a Salt-Vested Nidoqueen here, which of course is for the Heliolisk because we have rocks on another Mon that you will see in a second here. This is able to deal with Heliolisk, Hydreigon, and Magearna. I don't, just drew a complete blank on Magearna. Yeah, this can easily 2-hit KO Magearna because we are adamant natured here. I didn't feel like we needed to have any attack investment as long as I can always 2-hit KO something like non-Shucka Berry or physically defensive Magearna. We should be good. Poison Jab with Poison Point because it's really nice to potentially catch Cresselia, Lickilicky, Blastoise, I guess, with the poison. And again, if I poison Mega Blastoise, that's just really good for Infernape. If I poison Lickilicky, that's really good for Greninja. If I poison Cresselia, it's a freaking Cresselia, it's always good to get poisoned. So I really felt like I didn't need Sheer Force in this game. Plus, Ice Beam still does enough damage already to things like Hydreigon and Landorus, and I guess Decidueye, but again, I really don't expect Hydreigon or Decidueye this game anyways, but it's only really there for Landorus, I suppose. And then finally off, you have Super Fang just to be able to get off an initial 50% on his bulky fat walls and just be able to pressure them accordingly. Just a little bit of speed in case he wants to try and speed creep my Nidoqueen, so maybe we can speed creep his potential speed creep. So our next team member here is going to be a very spadef bulky Comfey. This is actually the first time I'm bringing Comfey this entire league, which is kind of cool because this kind of works like Nidoqueen in the sense that it checks his specially offensive mons, and with the Berry we can maybe even tank a Flash Cannon from Magearna and just be able to get off a bit more Leech Seed damage on it, and Flash Cannons from Hydreigon and Mega Blastoise as well will be doing pretty much nothing to us. I did originally want to go with Giga Drain over Toxic, but Toxic I think is ultimately better just because it does allow us to hit the Decidueye just on the slight chance he does bring it. I don't want to only have like 2 answers for Decidueye which can't switch into it. This can kind of switch into Decidueye. I guess if it's Swords Dance it'd be a little bit annoying, but regardless we should be able to hopefully Toxic it and chip it down with Draining Kiss and then go from there. But this is just mainly here to help Nidoqueen deal with this specially offensive mons, and with Leech Seed we can probably recover back HP to Nidoqueen and Mega Blastoise, as well as potentially our last team member here, which is going to be Uxie, a nice physically defensive set. Again, I really feel like Z Landorus is the least threatening of his potential 3 Z-Mons that he can bring, so I figured that as long as it's not Flynium Z and it Swords Dances, then Uxie can pretty much deal with the Landorus, and I need to bring this because if I were to bring Shaman, he can still click Earthquake pretty freely against my team. At least with Uxie, I have Levitate, I'm still super bulky, I have HP Ice for it, and then U-Turn and Psychic as our other offensive moves. And then Rocks again would just be really nice in general to chip down his super fat bulky mons to help out our Greninja and our Infernape, which are our 2 main offensive mons in this game. So yeah guys, that is our squad. Let's go ahead and jump into the battle. Alright guys, so I feel like this is a bit of an odd webcam area, but it just looked really awkward everywhere else, and it would have been too small if I were to try to put it like over my icon. So hope this is fine for you guys. And yeah, I'm not going to be showing the chat just because I did that in yesterday's upload, which you guys should go definitely check out, by the way. It was round 1 of the PU Winter Seasonals, but yeah, I did show the chat on that, and I'm not gonna do it here, so yeah, I hope y'all don't mind. But let's take a look here at the team preview and what Bronson brought. So I did go over my team in the first beginning of this video, which I guess I can kind of quickly go over the sets here, but I don't want to go too in depth. We have offensive Infernape and Greninja, fat specially defensive Nidoqueen and Comfey, and then fat physically defensive Mega Blastoise and Uxie. So yeah, kind of a little quick rundown. But looking at Bronson's team, I was actually really surprised to see that he didn't bring Nidoqueen or the Mega Blastoise. Mostly Mega Blastoise. Like, if he didn't bring Nidoqueen, that kind of is understandable because maybe he thought I wouldn't bring my Heliolisk because obviously his Nidoqueen could deal with my own Heliolisk. But the fact that he didn't bring Mega Blastoise was really shocking to me because this means my Infernape just kind of clicks Flare Blitz literally just for free, and even against Cresselia, which I figure is going to be like a fat defensive set, I can then just go for U-turn against that and be perfectly fine. I have Toxic and Leech Seed on my Comfey for Cresselia, so I'm literally not worried about it whatsoever. Hydreigon is really surprising to me. I did mention that I don't think it should be a choice Hydreigon because of Comfey and my Jirachi. Plus, if he locks himself into something like Dark Pulse or Flash Cannon, I just get a free switch into my Bandit Infernape and my Greninja and potentially just get a kill. And as I mentioned, if he did bring Licky with Magearna, it is most likely going to be an offensive Magearna with a fat defensive Licky. So now I'm thinking maybe Magearna will be Z. Infernape though could also be Z. Like, both of those are interchangeable, but I definitely think one of them should be a Z-Mon because that way that is their most threatening sets, I think, going into this game. And then Landorus, I don't really know what it's going to be. It could be like a fat rock set, maybe like an offensive lead set, potentially even Scarf Landorus wouldn't be that bad, just because our only ground immunity is Uxie, and then he can U-turn against Shaman and Uxie for super effective damage. So I could see like Scarf Landorus being a potential thing, which I will have to watch out for. But lead wise, I thought that Uxie would actually be my best lead because I literally deal with everything he could lead off with except for Hydreigon. This Hydreigon is the only thing that has a bad lead matchup for my Uxie, basically. I can take a hit from everything else, get on my rocks, turn one, and we'll be straight. But if he leads Hydreigon, then I'm forced to switch out. He may know I'm going to switch out, and then he can U-turn against my Comfey, which my Comfey is my best answer for Hydreigon. And even if I were to bring in Nidoqueen, he could U-turn into Landorus. So a lead Hydreigon against my lead Uxie was so terrifying for me because it could potentially give Landorus or Infernape a chance to come in, set up, and absolutely obliterate something on my team, which is why I actually decided to lead off with my Infernape. My Infernape led well against everything except the one thing he decided to lead with, which is this Landorus. Now, as I mentioned, Landorus does have a potential chance to be Choice Scarf. He could be Scarf Rocks very well, which I've run Scarf Rocks Pokemon before. Very viable, I think, honestly, in draft format. Smogon singles, probably not, but in draft format, I think you have a little bit more leeway with it. But yeah, if this is Scarf, I am not staying in with Infernape. I don't care if it isn't Scarfed. I cannot afford to lose Infernape turn 1 in this battle. If I lose Infernape turn 1 in this battle, I potentially lose to Magearna late game. I don't have a good chance to smack Licky or smack the Cresselia. Basically, if I lose Infernape, I lose one of my hardest hitting Mons to be able to help break through his defensive fat Mons, and that's not something I can risk turn 1 right now in this battle. So I need to switch here. Obviously, my switch into this Landorus is going to be my Uxie, so I figured he's probably just going to want to go for his rocks here. That's fine though. No, he goes for Swords Dance, and this is okay. Again, I don't think this should be Z Landorus. I think Infernape and Magearna are a lot more scary with Z moves. So as long as he is not Flynium Z, or even if he is Z, if he's like Rockium Z, then I can still live one hit as long as it's not Flynium Z. So I figure that I might as well just go for the Hidden Power Ice. If I can weaken this Landorus to be able to revenge kill it with something in the process, I may lose my Uxie, but that's fine because again, Uxie was really only here for this Landorus, and then I may not be able to get up rocks, but that shouldn't be entirely too bad. At least getting rid of Landorus is one offensive threat gone that I no longer have to worry about. And what do you know? He turns out to be Flynium Z Landorus, and I get absolutely mollywopped. So I have been absolutely destroyed because I was so terrified of him leading Hydreigon. If I had just led Uxie, I could have gone straight for the HP Ice and at least got off damage on this Landorus. Now the problem is that I don't have anything on my team that can not only knock out this Landorus but also outspeed Landorus. A max special attack Scald against Landorus is not enough to finish him off. So I'm hoping that if I bring in Greninja here, he's going to be scared out and not stay in, because that's the best thing I have to do right now. That's the best play I can do right now. As he does luckily switch into the Licky, I will get off about 20%, and then he's going to go for the Protect here, as I unfortunately bust my Z move a little bit early. But I do only 14%, but I was able to gain some information on this Licky. We know first off he's definitely Wish Protect now, and we also know that he doesn't have something like Leftovers because he turned out to be Chople Berry, which Chople Berry Licky was a very smart bring on Bronson's part. Definitely have to give him props for that one. And at this point, I'm not sure if he is running any type of physical defense investment. He most likely and most definitely is running at least a lot of HP. So if he is running no defensive investment, Low Kick does have about a 31% chance to knock out this Licky. But at this early stage in the match, because I'm already on the back foot, and the fact that I've lost my Uxie, it's not a risk I am willing to take. Plus, I do have a decent answer to this Licky in the form of my Comfey. My Comfey, because he did not bring the Decidueye, just gets the Leech Seed for free as he brings in the Cresselia. I missed my Leech Seed. That first miss doesn't matter because I would have stayed in this turn regardless and gone for the Toxic. Although I guess I would have got an extra turn of Toxic. That ultimately doesn't end up mattering either, honestly. Plus, this means I can actually waste an extra turn of his Light Screen because I had to stay in an extra turn. So yeah, that's pretty nice. As he gets a Reflect, I knew he wouldn't go for an offensive move there, so I can go for the U-turn with my Infernape into my Mega Blastoise here as he goes for the Thunder Wave, and down goes his Cresselia. Now, this is not necessarily too bad because even though, yes, this is now definitely confirmed a setup Magearna, I have Roar on my Mega Blastoise, so I can just phase out this Magearna, and we know that he's not going to be Electrium Z, and because he doesn't have any boosts, he shouldn't be able to knock out my Blastoise, and I'm pretty sure he's going to try and set up on me here, so I shouldn't be too concerned about him going for an actual offensive move, as I won't be able to phase him out with the Roar. As he goes for the Calm Mind, I go for the Roar, and I get paralyzed, but it's fine because I live the Thunderbolts, and even though my Blastoise has been severely weakened, and now his Infernape is looking a little bit scary, I still have Water Shuriken on my Greninja, I have Mach Punch, even Draining Kiss wouldn't be too bad to be able to hit his, what's it called, his Monkey, the Ape. Infernape, I'm all over the place right now. And even Nidoqueen can still live a hit from Infernape. And then this Magearna, if it's not behind screens, I'm not really that concerned about it because I can still just kind of click Choice Banded Flare Blitz with my Infernape, which again, Hydreigon should never be a switch in to Infernape, so I don't think he would ever switch it in on my Infernape in the first place. So Choice Banded Flare Blitz is going to absolutely nuke something once I'm able to go for the Roar here, except I get paralyzed again. And now, oh, this match is just going really, really bad because I just pretty much lose to Landorus now. Like, I'm forced to bring in my Nidoqueen here. I know Earthquake behind Reflect would not be a 2-hit KO. I was kind of hoping maybe I could get 2 crits with the Earthquake. That would have been some justice, but now it's 3 versus 5, and even though, yeah, I can click Flare Blitz, I just sack everything to Earthquake, basically. There's literally nothing I can do against that Landorus. So I end up knocking out Magearna, which is great. In comes Landorus, and I figured that right now, because again, I've been in a bad spot from the beginning of this game, and the paralysis just made things even worse for me. What I need to hope for is that I can kind of get some luck on my side in either me getting a crit with my Flare Blitz, which will absolutely murder this Landorus because I'm pretty sure he's not defensive or he doesn't have any physical defense investment, or that maybe I can get the burn with the Flare Blitz, because if I get the burn with the Flare Blitz, I might be able to live in Earthquake, and then from there I can still possibly have a chance, because right now Landorus is his biggest threat. If I can just luck this Landorus, I should be in a pretty good spot to still maybe just have a chance to win, maybe, just maybe, but I don't crit and I don't burn. However though, he ends up going for the Rock Polish. Now, initially, I thought that this was just a really bad play on Bronson's part. But the more I rewatched the battle and the more I thought about it, he probably expected me to switch out into something like Comfey, knowing that my Infernape is easily the biggest threat I have right now for his team. So why would I leave an Infernape on Landers when I know I cannot knock out Landers whatsoever? So he was probably going to try and go for the Rock Polish to then maybe Swords Dance on my Comfey, and then a +2 speed, +2 attack I just basically lose initially. But I really don't think he should have made this play. I feel like him being aggressive in this scenario ultimately would have been better for him, because I did leave in my Infernape. But then again, there was probably a better chance that I wouldn't have left it in. But again, I'm behind in this battle. I'm against the wall. I need to try and maybe get some luck. But because he did stay in here, I did hit this Flare Blitz. What I can do now is bring in my Comfey. Even though Comfey will not be able to knock him out with the Draining Kiss, he is definitely in range of where Greninja's Water Shuriken will finish him off. And because Landers is so low, he does not have any more use for it. Plus, it can't outspeed my Infernape or my Greninja, and there's no way I'm gonna give him a opportunity to freely set up again. Plus, I don't think he wants to switch anything in on my Greninja. But there is a couple other issues at this moment in the battle too. If Infernape or Hydreigon are Choice Scarf, then they basically just win the game. Like, I may have a chance to win here, but it all depends on exactly what sets he has on Infernape and the Hydreigon. So the fact that he did not bring in Hydreigon or Infernape here should have told me that he's not running Scarf Hydreigon or Infernape. So because he brought in Lickilicky on my Greninja, as you can see, oh no, well, you can't see it now, but I took about 2 minutes to make this play. I was thinking I can either stay in and hope that I get the 31% roll in my favor with Low Kick and I knock out this Lickilicky, and then I just pray that Hydreigon and Infernape are not Choice Scarf. Or I can be aggressive and switch in my Infernape in hopes that I can live any offensive move he goes for. If he is not running any attack investment, or if he is not an Adamant Nature, my Infernape can actually live one hit, and then from there I get to click Choice Banded Close Combat and I get a kill. If he loses this Lickilicky, that opens up the floodgates for Greninja to come in and potentially win, again only if Hydreigon or Infernape are not Scarfed, which again I should have known at this point that neither of them were Scarfed if he didn't bring them in on my Greninja. Instead he brought in the Lickilicky. So I bring in my Infernape here as he goes for the Body Slam and he gets the paralysis. Can you stop this game? I was a little bit upset, I'm not gonna lie. I've been getting so unlucky throughout this entire battle. I don't even think I've got any bit of luck on him at all, I think, at this point. And the fact that he paralyzed my Infernape just basically means that I can probably not win at this point again. Because if he didn't have Scarf Hydreigon, then I outspeed that, destroy it with the Close Combat, and then I can potentially Speed Tie against the Infernape and destroy that with the Close Combat. Or I force the Infernape to go for the Close Combat if he doesn't have Mach Punch, and that's really good for me because then at -1 Spadef, a Water Shuriken from my Greninja will be able to knock him out. Or I can safely go for the Scald, expecting Lickilicky to come in, and then Low Kick guarantees knocking him out. But he ends up making an aggressive switch here into his Hydreigon as I go for the Close Combat, because as I mentioned, if he loses Lickilicky without a Scarfer, my Greninja just wins. So this may seem like a really questionable play, and again, this was a play that I kind of thought more about it as I rewatched the battle and tried to think why he made these plays, and it does kind of make sense because he really does need Lickilicky in order to deal with my Greninja. If I was Ice Beam, I do not knock out Hydreigon, but I do a whole lot of damage. Turns out that he was actually Choice Specs Hydreigon, not Choice Scarf Hydreigon, so I didn't have to worry about this. And then I still don't know at this moment in the match what kind of Infernape he is running. Regardless though, Hydreigon goes down. If this is not Scarfed or Banded, I can win with my Greninja here, but he ends up going for the Mach Punch, gets a crit. Obviously that mattered. And the fact that he has Mach Punch is really scary because again, I'm in another just like really bad spot here, because regardless, if he is choice banded, I lose. Mach Punch just knocks me out because I was an idiot and I made my Greninja minus defense instead of minus def. So in that sense, I lose to Mach Punch if he's banded, like hands down, flat out. But on the off chance that he's not banded, I can actually live a Mach Punch and then in return knock him out with the Scald. So my plays are to either go for the Water Shuriken because I'm faster, I out prioritize Mach Punch, and hope that I get 4 hits with the crit or I get 5 hits, because with this Infernape being at full HP, me not having any type of boosting item, Water Shuriken will only knock out Infernape with 5 hits, or if I'm able to crit 1 of my 4 Water Shurikens or 2 of my 3 Water Shurikens potentially, or I think if I got high rolls with 3 Water Shurikens and 1 crit on those, I would have been able to knock them out. But I can either go for that, or I can go for the Scald and just hope that he is not banded. So I have to weigh my options. Do I have a better chance to knock him out with Water Shurikens and crits, or hoping that he is not banded and I go for Scald, and then he could maybe be like Passion Berry, Assault Vested, I don't know. There's so many more factors, but ultimately the move that gives me the best odds of being able to beat this Infernape is going for the Scald. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go for the Scald. Turns out that he's not banded, he's not Assault Vested, he's not Focus Sash, he's not Passion Berry, he's nothing terrifying, and I knock him out with the Scald. And now we're down to Licky Licky against Greninja, and again, I need to find out what play gives me the best odds of winning. I can either go for the low kick and hope that I get the 31% chance of being able to KO this Licky Licky if he is not running any defensive investment, or I can try to go for the Scald, hope I burn him, and then I can maybe apply a lot of pressure with low kick, and along with burn and low kick, I may be able to beat the Licky Licky, but then he could go for body slam and paralyze me, and then after that there's 25% chance that I'll get paralyzed, and I've already gotten so unlucky throughout this entire match that ultimately low kick, even though it's only about 1% more, gives me my better odds of winning this game. So I'm gonna go for the low kick, just hoping he doesn't have a lot of defense EVs, and just hoping I can get the roll in my favor. As he goes for the protect, that's fine. I'm gonna go again for the low kick. It's the best play I have to make, and I'm able to get the roll, and down goes Licky Licky, man. It was not until that very last turn that I was able to get some luck in my favor. And very, very good game to Bronson, man. Oh my lord, this game had me so irritated and on the edge of my seat. And just bad luck Leo, man. Bad luck Leo strikes at the most opportune times for him, but not for me. So yeah guys, that is the end of our round 1 match. We're going on to round 2, and hopefully we can win that, and then if we win that, that is the semifinals. So then we go on to the finals, which is round 3, and then we can maybe win the prize at the end. So if you guys enjoyed the awesome battle, make sure to hit that thumbs up button down below. Let me know in the comment section below about something that I asked you. Yeah, the face cam. Do you like the face cam for the future rounds? Potentially, we'll see. I don't know. Let me know. See y'all tomorrow. Later, everybody.